Hi, I'm Abby and I love unicorns, and look at these, aren't they beautiful? Today I'm going to show you how you can create these unicorns at home. If you are unsure on how to make cake pops, please watch one of the videos below, as today I'm just going to show you how to turn the cake pop into the unicorn. Let's get started. Okay, so I've got a cake pop here. I've covered it in white colour melts. If you're unsure on how to make cake pops, please watch one of the videos below. There are plenty of them. And I've put it onto a gold striped straw. The first thing I'm going to do is create a base for my cake pop. And to do that, I'm going to use a little bit of the colour melts that I've got left over. And I'm just going to pop a little bit onto a piece of greaseproof. And I'm going to pop my cake pop straight into it. Just going to neaten that up with a brush. Okay, and that gives it a nice platform to stand on, and it will dry nice and easily on the greaseproof, and then you can just peel it off and then they'll stand up really nicely in the cases. So I'm going to set that aside for a moment, and I'm going to show you how to make the horns and the ears. I've got some here ready made, you can see. So for the ears, I've got some modelling paste here, and they're just made out of an upside down heart cutter. So I'm going to dust my surface with corn flour. I'm going to roll this out. Okay, and I'm going to cut out 2 little hearts. And I'm just going to pinch the top of my heart together. And we're going to stand it upside down. So it's going to stand that way up. Okay, so we're going to lie those to one side to dry. You won't need any glue on those, they will just dry in that shape. And we can make our horn. So I'm going to take some of my white paste. I'm going to roll it. And I'm going to roll it into a really long, thin sausage. We want to sort of taper it so it is thicker at one end and thinner at the other. But it does need to be a lot longer than you probably think. Just going to use my palette knife to trim that off. Okay. So now that I've got one end thinner than the other, I'm just going to twist it in my hands, and it'll roll up into a lovely little cone shape. And that will create our horn, just like so. Now, I'm just going to stand that on the surface, just give it a bit of a wiggle so that it make that bottom of that cone nice and flat so it sits easily onto our unicorn later. And I'm also just going to take a little tiny bit of glue, edible glue, and I'm just going to pop a little bit in those little creases where we've twisted it, just to stick that together so it doesn't unravel. Once it's dry it'll be fine, but it just holds its shape a bit better then. So we're going to pop that to one side. I'm going to bring in my ears that I made earlier, and I'm going to dust the centres of them. At the moment I'm going to be looking at this pink dust here, which is the Roll Chem Super Pink. It's this really nice bright sort of Barbie pink. It's brilliant. Okay, so I'm going to take a little bit of that, and I'm just going to dust the centre of my ears. Just like that. Okay, do that to both. Everything's quite little on this cake, so it is very fiddly. Okay, lovely. And we'll set those aside. I'm going to paint my horn in a moment, but I'm not going to do it until we've stuck it onto our cake pop. Otherwise, when you touch it and you stick it on, it makes your fingers all gold and sticky. So I'm going to move those to one side, and I'm going to bring back my cake pop. Now, it should have dried nicely by now, so I should just be able to peel that off the greaseproof and stand that on the surface. Okay, so first off, I'm going to glue my horn onto my cake pop. And I'm actually going to use a little bit of that leftover candy melts like we did before. I'm just going to pop a little bit on the bottom of my horn. You can use edible glue, but the candy melts will set a bit firmer. And I'm going to stick that on the centre of my cake pop, right at the top where it meets the straw, like so. And then I'm going to do the same again, but this time I'm going to do for my ears. So I'm going to use a little bit of this candy melt. Pop a little bit on my ears. And they're going to sit just either side of the horns. Okay. Push those down until they're in place. Fabulous. So, now that we've got our horn and our ears on, I'm going to paint my horn. To do that, I'm going to use this Roll Chem Gold. It's a really nice, bright, shiny gold. But there are other golds available. I've got this one here, which is a metallic food paint. That one is already pre-mixed into a paint, so you can use that straight from the bottle. To make my dust into a paint, I'm just going to add some Rejuvenator Spirit. It's this one here. It's like a clear alcohol. And we're going to mix that into a paint. And I'm just going to paint up that horn. Lovely. Right, now I'm going to add the eyes to my unicorn. To do that, I'm using a black edible dust here, which I'm going to turn into a paint again using the Rejuvenator. And I'm going to use a very, very tiny paintbrush for this. And I'm going to paint two little curves, and then we're going to add some little eyelashes. I'm going to try and do this upside down for you. Okay, so there's my little eyelids, and then I'm just going to add some little tiny eyelashes. Like so. Okay, and the final thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some flowers to the top of my unicorn, just around the horn. And now there are two options for this. I'm going to show you how to use the blossom cutter, which is this little one here. And we're going to pop some little tiny dragees into the centre. If you don't have a blossom cutter, you can use some sprinkles instead. And I've got these really lovely sort of flower sprinkles here, which are great because you can just pop a little bit of glue on and stick them straight on. Nice and easy, as you can see there. I'm going to bring my little gold case in at this point, and I'm going to pop my unicorn into the gold case. It's almost like it's got a little skirt on. So for the blossoms, I've got this very tiny blossom cutter here. And I've got some pink paste, which I'm just going to roll out. Okay, and with this, you just cut the blossom out and then pop it on the surface and just push it, and it makes that nice little blossom. Do another one there for you. And it curves the centre of it like so. Do a couple of those. Okay. I've got some here that I've left aside to dry. So I'm going to pop those on my board now. And I'm going to glue those onto my unicorn using a bit of edible glue. And we're just going to run the glue around from the ears in front of the horn, from ear to ear. Okay, and I'm just going to pop those along that glued edge. I've used several different colours here, but you could do it all in one colour if you wanted, or you could use 2 colours and alternate them. Probably get one more in there. Lovely. The last little touch I'm going to do is I'm going to add some of these little tiny dragees to the centre of my flowers. So I'm going to pop a bit of glue in the middles of each one of those blossoms, just a little tiny bit. And then using the end of my glued brush, I'm just going to pick up those pearls and drop them in the centres. She says. There we go. Okay. And there you have it. Beautiful, delicate little cake pops in the shapes of unicorns.